Bob Johnson joins us now. Bob was in Dallas on that fateful day as bureau chief for the Associated Press, and he had the responsibility to tell a nation in words of the tragedy that had struck us all. Unlike most of us, Bob had work to do. Good morning, Bob. Thank you for being here. You say that the question is inevitably the same. Tell me, what was it like? Could you tell us 20 years later how you remember that day?
Well, we had, because of the heckling of Adlai Stevenson a month before at a UN Day rally, we had thought there might be some heckling of President Kennedy. So I had assigned as many reporters as I could to the motorcade route, and I was working the news desk. But the motorcade proceeded so smoothly that I went out to get a drink of water from the cooler in the Dallas Times-Herald newsroom next door, and as I came back, the editor stepped out and waved me down and said, "Bob, we hear the president has been shot, but we can't confirm it." So when I went back in, I thought, if I'm going to say the president has been shot, I'm going to be certain that I'm right. And I put a book of paper in my typewriter and headed up a bulletin. And a photographer who had been standing in Dealey Plaza called. And said, "Bob, the president has been shot." I said, "Ike, how do you know?" He said, I saw it. There was blood on his head. Mrs. Kennedy jumped up and grabbed him. She yelled, "Oh no." And I said, "Ike, you saw that?" And he said, "Yes, I was shooting pictures then and I saw it." So I wrote the bulletin and started reorganizing my staff to cover an assassination instead of a luncheon. And people who were off duty or on other assignments came to the office as soon as they heard the news on the radio. And we just went to work and worked straight through until just went on for days. I think that was Friday, and I finally got home for Thanksgiving dinner next Thursday.
How was it, what did it feel like, which sounds like such an inane question, to write those words?
Well, of course, you know, I'd been either a newsman or a Marine since I was 17, so I was used to dealing with emergencies. But when I did it, my fingers trembled, but your mind goes into kind of an automatic overdrive or automatic gear so that you do the things that you've been trained to do, and really none of us had time for any personal reactions until Monday when we stopped.
So it was an aftershock for you then, in a way. You recently met with Millie and John Connolly in Texas. What was that reunion like?
Well, I'd known them not closely, but because he was the governor, I'd known them when I was in Texas, and it was sort of a happy reunion, like old acquaintances getting together, and they spoke very calmly and straightforwardly about their memories of the assassination.
What are their memories? Have they equilibrated with those memories now in this length of time? I mean, is it easier for them 20 years later?
It seems much easier for them to talk about it.
How about you?
It's easy for me to talk about it, but any time you do, as Pierre Salinger said earlier, the emotions and the memories just rise up.
I see that.
You can't avoid it.
I suppose it's true for all of us. In fact, there is a quote that we found. It is said that it was staggering to realize that in our time, not the distant past, such a transcendent figure as man and president could be struck down like any mortal. If JFK was vulnerable, who and what was not? Thank you, Bob Johnson, for joining us.